Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Raw is Jericho! Hell yeah! Get some
You will rest in peace.
The whole world will acknowledge me.
And welcome to another brand new episode of the Rasslin Addicts. I'm Matt. This is Nick. What's up, everybody?
What's going on, brother?
What's up?
Wait,
How's it doing?
Sorry, I said that wrong. I meant, what's going on, brother?
There you go. See, we got the new. Have you started playing 2K?
I haven't.
24
I haven't. I got it Tuesday. I've been busy, man. Work's been crazy. They've been upgrading the vaults at my job, but I just wanted to show you my shirt.
Love that shirt. Love that shirt.
I wanted to wear my NWO red and black shirt for the Stinger, but I couldn't find it just now. It's somewhere in the wash. I think I just washed it and I haven't folded and put it away yet. So
Yeah. And
I wear that pretty regularly.
shout out to Sting. Great long career in everywhere other than WWE. And I feel like that while he had a great career, I feel like that part is missing from his, accolades. But listen, he was my favorite WCW guy. He was one of the first action figures that I have, where he's like this in the blue tights with like the orange scorpion. So I've always liked Sting. I feel like Sting is the biggest what if when it comes to wrestling, because what if he went to WWE after, they purchased WCW? A lot of great matches I feel like were left on the table. The biggest one of them all is The Undertaker. Sting versus The Undertaker.
Do you know what I really feel about Sting and never having been in WWE? The first thing I would say is I feel like the Sting versus Undertaker thing is only a thing because A, the longevity, and B, they wear similar colors.
Yeah.
So I think people felt like Sting was the WCW version of The Undertaker for some reason, which it could not be further from the truth. Though Sting did become like dark and ominous, he wasn't like what's the word I'm looking for? Like he wasn't like meta magical like The Undertaker, who was sitting there like trying to fucking sacrifice people to the devil and whatnot.
The gimmicks were somewhat similar, like the idea of the gimmick, like a dark
I don't
figure
think so.
in the shadows.
Yeah, but that's very vague, man. That's such a vague take on either gimmick, because Sting wasn't a dark figure in the shadows. He was an avenging spirit in the shadows. The Undertaker was sitting there doing some freaking fantastic freaking magic or something with an urn that controlled people, that was made into a freaking chain, and like, setting people on fire. Like Sting hit people with baseball bats. It's not exactly Undertaker-like.
Yeah, it's the mystery of the character, that aura of like. But Sting was a loner. He was up in the rafters.
But that was only one of Sting's, like the many faces of Sting. Like that was one. Like he didn't get over on that. That was just something that he did later. That's like Taker turned into a badass.
But that's the Sting everybody wants versus I feel like
the Surfer.
It's not even the. It's like the Ministry Undertaker. I want to say it's more of the Undertaker around the time when he faced Shawn at WrestleMania. He did have his own.
TJ says the Undertaker had his own little fat hype man.
Where do you? I don't want to jump too much, but we're talking about Taker right now. Where do you rank Taker? I know the ranking system is so hard, and we've talked about this before. Where do you rank the Undertaker, like all time?
You're talking about on like my Mount Rushmore of wrestling. He's top 10. Obviously, he's top 10.
Okay, that's
He's not
I
Mount
would.
Rushmore because Mount Rushmore, and I talked about this with TJ on Monday. Mount Rushmore of wrestling are people that transcend wrestling, people that
Right.
you don't watch wrestling, but you know exactly who that guy is. And I'm not saying that
Yes.
people don't know who the Undertaker is. They do. But if the Undertaker tomorrow showed up in a movie as Mark Calloway, a lot of people would not acknowledge that that's the Undertaker. I'll give a perfect example. Did you know that the Undertaker is in Suburban Commando?
No.
The Undertaker is one of the
There you
bad
go.
guys in Suburban Commando.
No idea.
You know what I mean? but who's in Suburban Commando?
I don't know if I even see that movie.
You never saw that?
I don't think
Guy's
so.
name is so you might have heard of him before. His name is Terry Bollea,
Terry Bollea,
also known as Hulk
sounds
Hogan.
familiar. Oh, brother, I know Hulk Hogan.
And it's Hulk Hogan and Christopher Lloyd.
And then with a guest appearance from the Undertaker
Of a young Mark Calloway.
Oh, so was he Mean Mark at that point, or was
No, he was the Undertaker. He was already the Undertaker. But Undertaker. So for me, the Rushmore is really Undertaker, Austin, Rock, and Andre, for me at least.
Well, wait, Undertaker's on the Mount Rushmore?
No, I'm sorry. It's Hogan, Andre, Rock, and Austin.
Okay, mine is.
And people will sit there and say, well, why Austin? Because the other day I went to church, right? Like 3 weeks ago, maybe. And the priest started talking about John 3:16. And I immediately start giggling. And Meredith looks at me and goes, "What's so funny?" And I go, "I can't say it in church."
What?
So I call my dad. I call my dad after, and I'm telling him the story. I go, "Dad, I'm in church, and the priest started talking about John 3:16." My dad does not watch wrestling at all, and he goes, he's like, I was like, I started laughing. He goes, "Why?" Austin 3:16 says, "I just whipped your ass," and I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, even my dad even fucking knows it. By the way, TJ says Doug because the Undertaker as a young man looks like our friend Doug.
I don't know your friend Doug, but just thinking of Undertaker as a young guy, totally could be a Doug. Are you pulling up Doug? I like it.
No, I'm pulling up Undertaker in Suburban Commando.
Oh. But I agree with you that the Mount Rushmore has to transcend. And for me, it's the same three minus Andre and add in John Cena. For me, anyway.
You see, I don't feel like Cena had a big enough impact on wrestling.
His impact was when you weren't watching. And like he carried, listen, it is what it is, but he carried the PG era. Oh wow, yeah, that's like
in Suburban Commando.
Yeah, that's him.
And I want to say this guy on his right, our left, is actually the catcher from Angels in the Outfield.
Is it?
I feel like it is. It looks a lot like him. It may not be him, but it looks like him.
Funny.
And if it is, Jesus Christ, the guy's huge.
Yeah.
But you got to remember Andre. Before Andre, Andre he put wrestling kind of on the map. Wrestling wasn't international until Andre made it international. It was very regional, and then you've got Andre, him and Hogan in movies. And, I mean, Andre put Hogan over. Imagine that. Andre put Hogan over.
Right. That I just did that. That showcase, the WrestleMania showcase.
By the way, I want to apologize. I just want to apologize. Last week I had technical difficulties. I should have been on the show. My audio killed itself and I just couldn't hear anything. I apologize.
And then I ran a one-man show, and then everybody that probably watched wanted to kill themselves. You know what it was? It was like I just wasn't ready. crazy day at work. Shit's been wild. I was ready to bounce some stuff off you, and then they cut your mic like you were cutting a pipe bomb, and I just started talking shit about Elimination Chamber. And
I think my mic was good. It was my audio. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you couldn't hear me. Oh,
yeah. So like,
okay,
that was the killer for me. Is I couldn't hear you. So I was like, how could I bounce anything off like back and forth if I can't hear what you're saying? I was sitting there like, it was weird, right? When you started the intro, I was like, huh, the audio cut out of our intro.
That's crazy.
We got to get a new intro, by the way.
We do. I got to talk to the commish about it and see what he could do. It's got to get that guy out of here. His time is up. His time is not now. We can't see him, so he's got to go somehow. I won't do that again. I promise.
Well, we were talking about Stinger,
right?
And where is he? Stinger's in top 10 as well. And I'll tell you what, you said that Sting didn't have a long run in WWE, and that kind of what sets. I think that's what makes him special. That he's still so well known and so well respected, and not a WWE guy in any stretch.
Right, but you know what? It still would have been cool, that fantasy booking. We got him versus Triple H at WrestleMania, and
which I didn't get, by the way. I didn't understand that at all. Because the guys that came out to help him are actually friends with Triple H, not friends with him. I mean, they are friends with him. They're not as good. Like, it was weird. You know what I mean? Like, he had the NWO guys come out to fight the DX guys, but it's a well-known fact that the NWO guys are friends with Triple H.
Right, and they never liked Sting. Like they always, some of them they had the Wolf Pack, but listen, they did it for the pop. They did it for the nostalgia, but just like the New York Yankees at times, WWE does things past the time that they should. And, the DX versus NWO, 2002, maybe 2003 would have been the time to do it. You had all five in there. Really, you had all five. And, and you didn't, but you know what, the Sting, like, for me, and it's hard because DX is only Triple H and Shawn, the originals.
Okay.
And then with the original NWO was Hogan, Hall, and Nash. So it's like a 3-on-2 or whatever, or like the
China would have gotten in there.
DX. Yeah, but that's what the video game is for, I guess. But then, not everybody's in there. For me, Sting, they missed out on opportunities for like Sting versus Taker, Sting versus The Rock. I felt like would have been great, and I would like to see him have a better run. And it's nothing against AEW, but I feel like if Sting were to retire anywhere, he should have went back to TNA, being that's where he spent majority of his time outside of WCW. So for him maybe to go back home there would have made sense, but you knew WWE wasn't going to do anything like
I want you to know.
AEW did.
I watched TNA for a time, and it was strictly so I could watch Sting and the New Age Outlaws or the Voodoo Kin Mafia.
I remember watching TNA when it was only on pay-per-view, and I would go to Saturday Matinee and FYE in the Staten Island Mall.
Wow.
And get those DVDs on sale. I had a whole bunch of them. I think I might have sold them or something. I mean, you don't really need them now because everything's digital, but just to have those older, it was a crazy time because you had AJ Styles, who wasn't as big as he is now, in my opinion. And then you had Kurt Angle, you had Sting, you had Nash, you had Steiner, Samoa Joe. TNA was stacked until Hogan and Bischoff came in and they killed the whole thing. But that's where I figured Sting would be a great place for him to retire. But I mean, Tony Khan with his dad's money is like me going on Ringside Collectibles, just buys and buys and buys and buys, and not knowing what you're gonna do with all the stuff that you get, and then you just have so much of it that you're like, oh, I don't want to play with this anymore, and then it's like he puts them to the side, and that's what Tony Khan does. So that's why Sting went there, and it's good for him. I would love for him to come back to WWE. Maybe I don't want to see him wrestle. You had your retirement match, you're done. Come back to WWE, sign a Legends deal, get back in the video games, make some more action figures, be where you belong. That's where you belong, WWE, because it's just it's just the biggest kid. It's the biggest thing out there. So, And speaking of big, WrestleMania XL, I am. Ooh, okay. Elimination Chamber, did you catch it?
I did.
Okay.
Four matches. Are we going to watch an 8-match WrestleMania over 2 nights? Is that what's going to happen? Because the last 2 pay-per-views, 4 matches apiece with fucking 20-minute, 30-minute convert. Like when I was younger, you didn't have promos and vignettes at a pay-per-view. The pay-per-view was the culmination of a storyline that ended in violence, or it started a new storyline with violence. You didn't have friggin' a 30-minute, 40-minute promo. But can I also acknowledge that I understand the pomp and circumstance? I really get the pageantry of wrestling. I do. I understand it. But these 15-minute entrances are fucking stupid. 15, like you watch fucking Roman Reigns. It takes him 8 minutes to get to the ring. He takes longer to get to the ring than he actually takes to fucking do moves. Because he only does like 3 moves and then he takes a break for about 10 minutes outside of the ring. You okay, carpal tunnel?
No.
Put your finger.
Throwing the one up. I'm throwing the one up because I acknowledge Roman Reigns.
I acknowledge him as a fucking waste.
Here's my thing with the entrances. I love it. All of them. I love it so much to the point to that in the video game, I won't download a wrestler who doesn't have their music in the game. So like Brock, for example, I won't download Brock because I know his music's not in the game. I need everything. It needs to be legit for me. And just the spectacle of the entrances, and it's for me, it gets me pumped in a way.
I'll tell you right now, I don't have a problem with a demonstrative entrance. I don't have a problem with a dramatic entrance. I do have a problem when they stand on the fucking stage for 20 minutes, walk down to the ring, stand outside the ring, walk around the ring, take one step onto one step, stop, 2 more steps, get into the ring, and then stand there and look around for fucking 12 minutes. And you like when Roman came out to confront Cody when Rock came back, Roman spent 7 minutes walking to the ring. There was only 10 minutes left in that episode, and you're sitting there going, what's going to happen? And he used 7 of those minutes to fucking walk and say nothing. To me, I just got robbed.
Yeah, but what if the song's a banger, though? What if it's like a really good entrance theme?
Listen,
like
the New Age Outlaws had an awesome entrance. You're right. DX had an awesome entrance, but at the end, not even at the end, toward the middle, they got rid of the "Are you ready?" Dun, dun, and they immediately went to break it down, dun, 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 and they came out like you don't need.
Like, Triple H did that too.
Listen, you don't need a 40-minute build-up. I could see if it's WrestleMania. Yes, I need the pageantry. I need that. But on Thursday, on a fucking SmackDown, I don't need to see 8 minutes of Roman Reigns walking down the ring to not wrestle. And again, again, you paid to watch a wrestling match, right? For Elimination Chamber, you're paying to watch wrestling. 4 fucking matches in 3 hours. 4. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
Comparison.
But it's because the Chamber's a timed match, though. It's like every 3 minutes or every like 5 minutes the
That
pod opens.
has nothing to do with the fact that they had like a 40-minute segment of fucking Rollins and fucking Cody talking to some loser Australian who also can't wrestle.
I agree that was they probably only did that because Waller is from Australia and he's
Well, those Australians got robbed.
You know what? I wasn't a fan of that segment either. But I do like what came out of it. Cody, and that's why I asked if you saw it, because I mean, we knew Becky was winning, we knew Drew was winning, we knew Rhea was gonna win. All that was like predetermined. And like, even though like we knew all that was gonna happen, I enjoyed waking up at like 4:30 to watch it at 5. You know, I'm a wrestling fan. It's once, in a million that they're there for an event. So I was like, let me wake up and watch it. Whatever. Did I take a nap like 2 hours after it was over? Oh, hell yeah. But for me, I enjoyed that. But I lost interest during that. I actually fell asleep during that. That's like the only time like I dozed off a little bit. And, and I tweet this out anytime I really see Cody Rhodes, but he may be one of the biggest stars that the company has had since John Cena. Everywhere, men, women, children, everybody loves this guy. The pyro, the belt, the merch.
That shit started with fucking Jericho, all right?
What?
Singing along to the song.
Right. But you know what though? Thank God it's only that part, but he's loved all over. Like, how do you as AEW, the guy who was like, you know what? We need an alternative. We need something else other than WWE to give more people a chance. And then you just let him walk to where he's a global phenomenon now. He's
going
to be like Austin. Everyone's going to know who Cody Rhodes is.
I don't know about that.
In time, I think so.
I don't know about that. Austin could speak a lot better than Cody can.
Yeah, all right. It's not about Cody and his list, but it's about
Cody has a problem with his ethic.
Yes, but you know what? When you have those S's with 2 lines down them and they're dollar signs, he's going to be known all over.
I thought you were talking about like zigzag S's, like swastikas for a second. I was like, what the fuck did you say?
No, that's later on when we talk about Gunther. But I like that.
I don't know how you like Gunther. Your wife is Jewish, for Christ's sake.
No, Cody called out The Rock, which I thought was interesting because it's like, when is this going to happen? They're not going to do Cody versus The Rock, before WrestleMania or night 1. And then that's when The Rock cut his 20-minute Instagram promo, which I love. Let him curse. Let him say what he wants. If he wants to call Cody, Seth, and then Cody's dog, whatever he wants, let him do it. It's entertaining, and I like it. And then, they did the counter challenge to where they said the tag match at WrestleMania night 1. And it's making me want to go in a way. Like, I really have no interest in being, in Philadelphia, especially in the Eagle Stadium, but, The Rock night 1, it's, I don't know. It's like hyping me up to maybe, want to go because I feel like this is the start of something really big. And with the tag match and the stipulations, it's going to heavily factor into night 2. And I believe The Rock will cost Roman Reigns the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. And it would set up a trilogy between The Rock versus Roman that will culminate at next year's WrestleMania, which I hope is in Las Vegas, because that's the rumor. If Mania's in Vegas, I say we take the podcast on the road and we take a trip. I don't know. I don't know about anybody else, but I think that would be cool.
It would be very cool, but yeah, I don't think so. Um,
Oh, listen, I know my wife's probably like saying upstairs, yeah, he's not going to WrestleMania. Where does he think he's going?
but the whole, I don't know. I just feel like I appreciate the pomp and circumstance. I appreciate the drama and the pageantry of it all, but sometimes I just feel like it's so much so that it takes away from the actual entertainment aspect of it. I think, talk about AEW versus WWE. I was never a WCW or a WWF guy. I was both, like I'd flip back and forth. Like who could get enough? Who could get enough? You know what I mean? So like it's gotten to the point where WWE didn't have a rival for so long that people are just staunchly in their WWE feelings because they don't know anything else. Like they never had anything else. So that's all they know. And they're very angry about this. Like they're very angry about the fact that like there's a competitor. And for me at least, it's gotten to the point where like people are real assholes about it. Now, me personally, I feel just like it did back in the day, competition breeds greatness. Without competition, then everybody keeps doing the same stale garbage. It's boring. There's nothing interesting going on.
Right.
And you're sitting there going, all right, cool. We're back in the fucking PG era, 1992 Raw, where there's a trash man fighting a freaking bus driver, because that's what that gets you. People forget NWO and DX were created due to heavy competition.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's a good problem to have.
I don't get it either. Like, and I don't listen, if WWE does something stupid, I'll say it. If AEW does something stupid, I'll say it. TNA and so on. You're right. I never got it either because it just, competition makes you better.
Absolutely.
You get when you have a piece of coal and you apply pressure to it, you get diamonds, and that's what I feel like competition does. It pushes you to improve and be better. And I'm watching SmackDown from 2001, and this is around the time of No Way Out 2001, and they're doing SmackDown Extreme, a random SmackDown where they're having first blood matches, table matches, hardcore matches, and they were doing this, and this is what, 2 months before WrestleMania. They already own WCW at this point. It's just not announced. But because of that competition mindset that they've had during the wars, it's like you get SmackDowns like this. You get great shows to where the main event is Kurt Angle, The Rock, and Triple H for the WWF title. Like, how often? When's the last time a world championship was defended in the main event?
When was the last time a world championship traded hands on a weekday?
Right. And that's the best part. That happened. It was so random that you never knew what was going to happen.
Well, not only that, but then you were like, I got to watch next week because anything could happen.
Right. Exactly.
Now it's so predictable. It's like if I don't watch for 3 weeks, I don't have to worry about it because it happened exactly the way I would have written it up if I was safe. TJ said to my comment about a garbage man versus a bus driver, TJ is a garbage man and his cousin is a bus driver. So he said, so me versus Danny, what the fuck, man?
I'll be the special ref.
and another thing I do want to say about AEW, I saw some memes saying like, imagine throwing yourself through a plate glass window and still nobody knows your name. And that was in reference to Darby Allin. And all I can think is, isn't that everybody in ECW? But so for some reason, ECW, because a few of those guys in ECW became somebody, someday. Most of which they did it like they were in ECW for like 6 months, left and went to WWF and became somebody. But when I think of ECW, people will sit there like Rob Van Dam was ECW. Rob Van Dam was the ECW for a short time. Oh, Eddie Guerrero was ECW, yeah, for like 6 months, and then he got a better deal with WCW and dipped. Same thing with Benoit, same thing with Malenko. You talk about ECW guys, then you're talking about Tommy Dreamer, a fucking bum. Okay, you're talking about fucking Sabu, a fucking bum. You're talking about New Jack, a fucking bum. You're talking about fucking Sandman, another fucking bum. All right, because somebody like Heyman, who's going into the Hall of Fame, will sit there and say, Stone Cold Steve Austin was in ECW, never fucking wrestled. Never wrestled. And those guys were guys that stabbed each other with barbed wire and shit. Back then, though, it's legendary. It's epic. It's got this dream mythology about ECW. But Darby Allin does it, and it's a lot of hate because everybody is entrenched in this WWE versus AEW. And it's not even like you can kind of remotely open your mind to the fact that it exists, and you could possibly sit down and watch it. Because I've noticed one thing about WWE since AEW has come around. All of a sudden, WWE has 25-minute matches every night.
Triple H.
With 15 finishers. And that shit, I remember watching in like 2019 or 2020. I started watching fucking AEW here and there. Whatever the first Rampage was, I watched AEW Double or Nothing or something like that, or All In 2019. Okay, yeah. And I remember sitting there going, this match is really fucking long. And I also remember sitting there thinking, they did like 6 finishers. And all of a sudden, WWE's got guys doing 55 super kicks every single match, and their matches are 20-minute long. That never happened. They never used to have pay-per-views with 4 matches on them. They have 8 in 2 hours.
I feel like, okay. With ECW, I never watched ECW back in the day. I have a buddy of mine.
ECW is not wrestling, dude.
Right. I have a buddy of mine who's a little older, and he loved ECW. He loved WCW, loved WWF. He just liked all wrestling, and I feel like at the time, ECW was edgy for how polished WWF and WCW were. So like ECW was like that alternative to where it's like, okay, yeah, WWF has these corny 80s characters to where everyone had an occupation, and it was like so like cheesy. Then you switch to ECW and there's like people line themselves on fire and put them through tables. While that may not be wrestling, I feel like that was a culture, ECW, back in the day. And now people are going through glass tables, using like fluorescent lights to beat the shit out of each other just to do it.
I mean, that was ECW.
Right, but I feel like ECW was like they were doing it before anyone else, was doing it.
Let's be clear. ECW had real wrestlers that could actually wrestle, and they usually left very quickly. The reason that ECW became popular in the first place was because the guys that couldn't wrestle had to do something. So they'd eat glass and smash their faces with beer cans and beat each other with kendo sticks and throw each other through 15 tables on fire because they couldn't wrestle. So they just became glorified stuntmen. So now it's been a 20 some odd year break, and we're mad at Darby Allin for doing the same shit that these jabronis in fucking 1995 were doing. The only difference is Darby Allin's doing it on TV, and these guys couldn't even get a contract with MSG. They literally wrestled at a bingo hall. But you ask the same fans, and ECW was great. It was peak. Bring it back. AEW does the same shit, and it's like, no, it's awful. I hate it. Tommy Dreamer couldn't fucking wrestle. Give me a fucking break. The most interesting Tommy Dreamer ever did was almost kill Paul Heyman.
I think the problem with majority of wrestling fans is that, Sports Fest, that's hilarious, that they don't know what they want. These wrestling fans don't know what they want because they'll say, yeah, we want the Attitude Era back, blah, 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 blah. Then something edgy happens, and then they're like, no, stop. How dare you? Like The Rock. Do you know The Rock was getting shit? Because when he was talking about Cody Rhodes, he's like, your little girlfriend, Seth Rollins. They were saying like The Rock was like homophobic or some bullshit like that. Like, shut the fuck up. This is the problem. Everyone is looking around at bullshit that they could be offended by rather than sitting down and just enjoying it.
If you can't
Cody
enjoy
won
that,
the Royal Rumble. He should go to WrestleMania to face Roman. There's people who get it's a story, and then there's people who think it's real, and then they're sending The Rock death threats, his daughter death threats. These are people that can't disconnect from reality.
So I don't have a problem with being against the way the story is going, but you have to address it as such. Just like when you see a bad Marvel movie, you say, how about you get better fucking writers? Do the same thing for WWE. If you don't 100%. Like the way the story's going, hey, how about you get better fucking writers? Not, oh my God, you screwed him over. The writer did that.
Right.
The writer did that. The producer did that. Creative did that. You know, now if you want to say the wrestler had influence on that, fair enough. But then it's not a personal thing. It's a business decision. And obviously enough people did clamor that they didn't like the way the story was going that they changed the story.
You know what?
I don't believe
they changed it.
I don't believe this was the fucking story. Because think about this, Matt. What happens, God forbid, I don't want to see it happen. Somebody gets hurt on night 1 of WrestleMania in that tag match. What happens?
Night 2 is fucked. Night 2 is.
So why would you book it that way? You know what that leads me to believe? It leads me to believe that night 1 will not be remotely interesting as far as wrestling is concerned. It has huge effects as far as storyline is concerned, but as far as what's going to actually happen inside the ring, that wow ain't fucking happening on night 1 because they're not going to have Cody or Roman jump off the fucking Titantron and risk them not being able to wrestle on night 2.
Well, Rollins too. They usually split up the world titles. I mean, usually they've only been doing this for about 3 years now, but it's usually the one title one night, the other title the other night. But listen, I believe that this was somewhat the story and how they were doing it because that promo where they show The Rock and Roman and Rollins and Cody like hyping up WrestleMania. That promo was shot around the time of the Royal Rumble because they were pumping that out leading up to Elimination Chamber. And I thought that's when the tag match was going to be. But the fact that they're doing this at WrestleMania, I believe that this was a story. The problem is that I suffer from this too because of my anxiety. People need to calm the fuck down and let shit play out. You're over here crying, man, Cody won the Rumble, but The Rock came back. Now he's taking his spot. Listen, look at what happened. Now, to me, the story is interesting. And one story ends at Mania while another's going to begin. The best thing is that Cody takes the belt off Roman due to The Rock interfering. And then you could move away from Cody and Roman because that story is going to be done. And then Roman focuses attention on The Rock to where we probably get a best of 3 where I'm thinking SummerSlam, Saudi for one of them because you know they got to go out there and appease them. And then it ends at WrestleMania next year. One story ends and one massive one begins to where if Roman's going to take time off, him having a series with The Rock is the perfect thing for it because then they both don't have to be there.
Yeah, Roman taking time off is the only thing you can guarantee in this business.
And then you have Cody, who's going to be the guy on SmackDown, who's going to be the guy on Fox. And to be honest, I could see by next January, Cody moving back to Raw for this Netflix deal for $5 billion. Who do you think Netflix is going to want? Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes?
I don't think it makes a difference to them. I think that Netflix isn't really doing it for the Raw. I think they're doing it for the replay rights. Because right now it really annoys me that if I miss Raw on Monday, I can't watch it on Peacock the next day.
Right. But what I'm saying is, though, you're going to need a Netflix subscription to it. So,
right.
who
what I'm saying
do
is,
you want to see?
I don't care who's on the show. It doesn't make a difference to me. It's just that the mere fact that I can watch the show more than once.
Yeah.
Wait, listen, there is no WWE fan that is sitting there doing the whole SmackDown versus Raw nonsense anymore. They're watching it all.
No, I'm talking about as a network person, because how Fox wanted Roman, Fox wanted Brock.
I'm telling you right now, that's because people could change the channel on fucking Fox. You can't change the channel on Netflix. You know what I mean? You have a subscription. That's it. You're there. You're locked in if you have a subscription.
I already have one. I have one.
If you got a Netflix subscription specifically to watch Raw, you don't give a shit who's on the show, because then that means you're canceling your subscription once somebody who's not on the show is not on the show anymore. That's what you're doing. You're right. You're gonna have Netflix for the rest of your life, Matt. Just you specifically. For as long as WWE is on Netflix, you will have Netflix.
But that's why I have Peacock. Do you think I watch
That's why I have
Peacock?
That's why I have Peacock, so I can watch 90s wrestling.
Right.
Why they didn't put Raw on Peacock, I'll never understand, but whatever.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
I digress.
Law and Order's on the next day. If I miss Law and Order on Thursday, guess what day I get to watch it? I get to watch it on Friday. Why not the same? It doesn't, even when it was on Hulu, I think it was a week later? The fuck do I care a week later for? It's all over. It's on Twitter.
I want it the next day. I want it 5 minutes after it's over.
Right. And another thing, what I hate about Peacock is you can't rewind live TV. So if I woke up late for Elimination Chamber, I would have to wait for the replay to come on to watch what I missed. Why? It's with technology. If I have DVR, I could do it. But I cut the cord and I went and I did this, and now I can't rewind on your streaming device. Why? I hate it. It's terrible. But WrestleMania. WrestleMania. Let's wrap this up. You're talking about how many matches? I think as of right now, there's only 4 confirmed matches, and 5. You have the 2 women's matches, which are most likely going to be
fast forwarded by Nick.
You have Seth and Drew, Cody and Roman, and then the tag match. So that's 5 so far. The rumor is, from watching Elimination Chamber, that Logan Paul versus Randy Orton, or it's going to be a multi-man match for the U.S. title. When I was watching Elimination Chamber and I saw Orton hit that RKO from out of nowhere on Logan Paul, and then Logan Paul was chilling by the door, I'm like, he's going to screw my boy. He's going to screw Randy Orton, who's in my top 5.
For those of you who don't know, Randy Orton has been Matt's boy forever.
Ever.
Since time immemorial. I promise you. This is not an exaggeration. Randy Orton has always been Matt's boy. That's since forever.
Yep. He'll be aside from The Rock, Randy's probably the number 1 wrestler I want to meet.
Did I ever tell you I have an autographed picture of Randy Orton?
So I was just going to tell you, I found the autograph pop that I have of Randy Orton. Where did that go? Let's see. Oh, dude, that's awesome.
So, cool story about this, real fast. I'm not going to get too deep into it. My buddy Pat, shout out to Pat Dudian. He used to be an intern for WWE.
Oh, Pat.
You know Pat.
Yeah.
So I'm a soldier in the United States Army. And Pat knows I'm a huge Shawn Michaels fan. I'm a big Randy Orton fan. So he runs into Randy one day and he says, "Hey, man, my buddy Nick's a huge fan of yours. He's a soldier in the Army." And Randy goes, "He's a soldier in the Army?" This is a story that Pat told me. Obviously, I wasn't there. And he goes, he's a soldier? And Pat goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Wait 1 second." And Randy reaches into his bag. He goes, "His name's Nick. Here, give this to him." He goes, "Tell your buddy he does a job I could never do."
Wow.
And that was a reference to Randy having been kicked out of the Marines.
Yep.
You know, which we don't respect. Randy got kicked out of the Marines. He did the right thing. He covered up his tattoos, and he's got respect for people in the military. It just wasn't for him, and that's fine. A lot of people, it's not for. There's only like 1% of the American population that serves in the military. But the fact that he's big enough to admit, like, hey, he does a job I couldn't do, at least he knows. And it was really nice of him to actually go out of his way, because Pat didn't ask him for it. He just was just like, "Oh, he's in the, oh, great, okay, real quick, don't go anywhere. I got something for your buddy."
That's great.
Stand up move by Randy Keith Orton.
Oh, that's a great. This story, I don't really. Oh, you're not going to see it. Oh.
Put it in front of your face. Oh, okay, I see it. I got it. There it is. There you go.
It's a pop. Randy Orton pop. Cool story is that a website was offering it, so I paid and I got it. That's it. That's as cool as it gets. But you know, Randy was out for 18 months. I feel like he deserves a one-on-one high-level match at WrestleMania 40. You know, it's 19.
And he looks great, by the way.
Dude, he is jacked.
So jacked.
You know, it's his 20-year anniversary. WrestleMania 20 was his first WrestleMania.
Indeed, it was.
Yeah. Evolution versus Rock and Sock at Madison Square Garden. So, like, for me, I would like to see Randy in a one-on-one match. I think Logan Paul would be interesting. Not my first choice, but I feel like there's not much for him because of how long he was out for. So that would be interesting to see. So we still need a U.S. title match. We need to figure out what's happened with the tag titles. Your boy Gunther on Raw is going to find out who's facing him at WrestleMania. There's going to be a gauntlet match. I think who's in it? Chad Gable, Sami Zayn.
I got to tell you, a lot of these, like, it's gotten to the point where WWE is so big that 90% of these wrestlers have no storyline whatsoever.
Right.
And they're boring as fuck. Like Chad Gable, I am so over that dude. So over him. There's nothing that he does that's interesting to me. Isn't he part of that something you bullshit?
Shoosh!
Yeah,
I feel like
I want you to know my generation, our generation, you and me, we were running around telling people to suck it. These kids today are going, shush. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me?
We were telling people to suck it.
My, how far we have fallen.
I remember once I asked a substitute teacher if he liked Wu-Tang Pie. He's like, please don't ask me that again. But like that's what we were doing. Like, oh, how was your day? Oh, it doesn't matter how your day was. Like, that's what we were doing. You know?
I have a retirement clock countdown on my phone. I've got 2,934 days before I can retire. And the picture that I have on it is The Rock, and it says, "It doesn't matter." Because that's how many days I have. That's how many days I have until somebody asks me something, and I can be like, "It doesn't matter what you think. I quit."
I like that. Sometimes I wish I could do that. How many years is that?
8. A little over 8.
Still quicker than when I'm going to retire. God.
It's 8 years. It's 8 years, 6 months, and 20-something days. But who's counting?
So My question is, before we wrap this up, it's not what. Wait. It's not, are you making your wedding entrance to a wrestling song? It's
No.
which wrestling song are you making your entrance to?
No. We're not doing a wrestling entrance.
Macho,
Nah,
and Liz,
no way.
Sean.
No way.
Dude,
Dude,
you should
you didn't
zip
walk
down
into a
the
wrestling
aisle.
entrance.
Oh, I wanted to.
No, we already agreed to what we're gonna walk into. But I won't tell anybody right now. You'll find out at the wedding.
I wanted to. I wanted to do the Miz and Maurice. Something. Where I'm just walking, I'm like, oh. But I did the Shawn Michaels thing when I flung the garter. Yeah.
I was at the bar.
I was at the bar too for the wedding.
No, I'm talking about during the whole garter bouquet toss bullshit. We are not doing that. I hate that.
You're not doing it?
Good.
Don't
No, we're definitely not doing it. I hate that. That's so like if you weren't feeling badly enough about being single at a wedding, stand there for a fucking garter toss and have everybody there be like, get up there. We know you've got no one.
Yeah, but it's, you know what? I've seen people that have like boyfriends and girlfriends go up there and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. But when you're single and everybody knows it, that everybody's like, come on, go. You're lonely. Like,
that's true. Maybe I want to be lonely.
Yeah, why not?
You never know.
You never know.
WrestleMania, less than a month away. The road's a little rocky, and a lot is still yet to be determined. But with
a lot on the table still.
There is a lot on the table, and with the Raws and SmackDowns leading up to it, hopefully we get more answers. The one thing I need out of this WrestleMania is I need Jason Kelsey diving off the top rope and putting someone through a table. Maybe Dom. I think that would be great. If Jason Kelsey in Philly jumps off the top rope and does a splash through Dominic Mysterio through a table, sign me up. That'll be one of the greatest WrestleMania moments ever. Well, folks, appreciate you joining. We may be pumping out some new stuff. The biography series on A&E and the rivalry series. We may drop a few videos here and there about them. Also, if you follow me on Snapchat at Rasslin Addicts, you can see that I have my joint in a point, and I'm going to be pumping out some more stuff leading up to WrestleMania. And don't forget, while today's Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday, and that's where you could find the Scoreboard Addicts podcast. And we're all on that sports podcast network. Make sure you tune in, and it was great seeing you, and peace out.